10 things I wish I knew when I started camping. I've been camping for over 30 years now, and I'm gonna give you some of the cheat codes that I learned along the way. Stuff I wish I knew when I started camping. This will not be an exhaustive list, a complete list of all the things you need to know to go camping. If you are a seasoned camper and you have a couple of things that you wanna share, put them in the comments below. You might help somebody out. Number 1, water filter straws are not that great. They're good for survival situations because they're cheap and they're small. But the thing is, they're not really fun or even safe to use sometimes when you have to kneel down close enough to a water source to use them. I started camping back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, so they didn't even have these back then. But if I was starting out now, I would get something like the Sawyer Squeeze Mini and a Nalgene bottle. Because they're still inexpensive and you can fill up the water, the dirty water, and then you can take it to a location that's not a sketchy riverbank to filter it into your Nalgene bottle. Practice your stuff at home first. Take your tent out of its packaging, set up your tent, inflate your sleeping pad, restuff all of your stuff sacks. Why? Because you can catch a potential issue before you go out, and by repacking your stuff sacks, you for one learn how to do it, but also everything seems to get bigger when you repack something, so you'll actually see how much space you really have. Another thing is selecting the right location for a tent. Most people will lay claim to the flattest area they find first and get to work setting up their tent right away. I mean, while a flat area is a great place for a comfortable sleep, but you should also check above you to make sure that there's no tree limbs hanging that could fall down. Those are called widow makers for a reason. But you should also check for huge rocks that can't be moved, or tree stumps or roots that are under the area. Even though it's flat, it might not be very comfortable because of that. Also make sure that the area is free of ant hills, chipmunk holes, yellow jacket nests. I mean, I've dealt with all of those over the years, and it's definitely not fun to pitch your tent over something like that. It may take a few extra minutes just to make sure that you have checked everything before you pitch your tent or your hammock, but it's worth it. You don't need to pack a bunch of clothes. Invest in a good set of outdoor clothing that allows you to layer plus or minus 10 degrees for what you expect to encounter. Definitely bring at least 2 pairs of socks though. It took me years to figure this out, but what works best for me is nylon socks and wool socks over those. The nylon wicks the moisture away from your skin and the wool insulates really, really well. If you invest in good outdoor fabrics, they dry out super fast and they're lightweight. So if at all possible, stay away from cotton. That stores up to 27 times its weight in water. Get nylon or some of those other outdoor technical fabrics. Learn a few basic knots for camping. It's inevitable that when you're out camping, you're gonna need to tie something to something else. And if you try to use some random or made up knot, you'll likely be very frustrated when you can't get it apart. Or worse, it unties when you're on trail and you lose something important. The knots that I suggest everyone learn right away are square knot, figure 8, trucker's hitch, clove hitch, and a bowline. With those knots, you can make a lot happen and feel great about yourself in the process. You don't need all the gadgets. I used to raid the camping aisle at Walmart every time I went camping, getting all the new and interesting camping gadgets. The problem is, you'll probably not use them and they'll make your pack heavier. Examples include multiple pots and pans, bulky first aid kits, sitting pads even. You don't need an expensive sit pad like everyone suggests you get. Just use a piece of cardboard or plastic. If you really want to get something super useful, just get a pack blanket like this. It's super small, very, very lightweight, and it keeps your gear dry and it gives you a place to sit too. So this is really, really an awesome investment. It's got pockets in it that you can throw snow into to weight it down, or rocks. It's got little loops on it that you can put stakes into the ground. You can even tie this up and use it as a tarp for a quick shelter if you need to. I take that with me everywhere I go. Get a brain. You don't need a bag with a ton of pockets everywhere. You can just get a pack that has a brain bag on it, or a small ditty bag to hold all your small and important items. This one was huge. I used to have backpacks with all these different pockets all over it, but in the end, what I use the most is a giant bag that just I throw everything into, but all of my small stuff I put into the brain or a small ditty bag. It should be the central location for all of your small and most used stuff. A great example of this is that I like to keep my big backpack down at the foot of my tent or in the vestibule, depending on the type of tent that I'm in, and I'll bring the brain into my sleeping bag at night because it has all my camera batteries and things that I don't want to freeze, like my water filter. I also put my glasses in there so I don't lose those, my GPS and my keys, everything that I need right inside that bag. Have a plan B. If the trip doesn't go as planned, or if you have weather that you weren't expecting, it's a good idea to have a plan B if your primary plan has been scrubbed. A pack of cards or a book, something to carve, or even a secondary trail system if the one that you were planning on hiking on is closed for some reason. I had that happen to me in Montana last year. I planned this awesome day hike up this mountain and I couldn't get to the trailhead because there was an avalanche. So I just went to my plan B instead, and it was super fun. When cleaning up your cookware, drink the water when you're done cleaning it. I know that sounds really gross, but when you're backpacking, every ounce of water matters, and sometimes you will not be in an area that you can get water easily. So just splash some water in there, scrape it up, drink it. You're gonna get extra calories from that, and the hydration is important. Don't waste the water when you're out. Have low expectations. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but if you go into an adventure not expecting to be comfortable, not expecting to sleep or see the things you want to see or hike the miles that you want to hike, in this way, everything is a bonus and you'll enjoy the experience so much more if you have lower expectations, especially when it comes to sleep. You may sleep really great, or you may not sleep at all. If you haven't checked out this video, I think you might like it. I hope you found that useful, or at least entertaining. We'll see you later.